So this story involves a commissioning job that I was doing around about 20 years ago. It was in the early days of my second job, so it was when I started with Control Techniques, and the job was to commission a 110 kilowatt drive on a induced draft fan on a kiln at a cement factory. So it's a kiln where the lime gets fired. So I went through the usual procedure of going through the connections with the torque wrench, checking wiring and doing that sort of stuff, but leaving the motor connected, because what we do when we commission these drives is we first run them on lamps. So after hooking up the lamps and having verified supply and got the drive powered up, and it powered up normally, and then it was time to run it. So with the door closed, all the covers fitted and the doors closed, because when these things go kapooey, everything expands, and the chances of you getting hit by an arc, flying bits of debris and so on are good. So doors closed, just got the wires coming out the bottom, going to the lamps. We're going to watch the lamps. So hit start, and the lamps start doing their thing. Got 6 lamps because it's a 3-phase drive, and I'm looking at the lamps and I'm thinking that one phase doesn't look right, upon which this thing lets go. So I run away, turned around, I'm gone. So now I'm standing outside the substation by the door looking that way, and this thing's still running. It had only blown 1 phase. 2 phases still merely running. So now I've got to approach it, go back, stop it and turn off the power, and hopefully more doesn't happen as I approach it. So that all went fine. I went back to it, hit stop, turned off the power, and there's no more of the event. Got a nice thunderstorm going outside. Our rainy season has started. It's awesome. So there's other people around, the plant people, the electricians and so on, and they said they saw me by the VSD, and they heard the bang. When they looked again, they saw me outside the substation. They had not actually seen me move. I seemed to teleport or somehow move unseen from one spot to another. But I left in a hurry when that thing made a big noise and made changes to itself internally. But they found it very amusing that I gone from there to there without anybody seeing me move. Yeah, that's what we do. Those were in the early days when the stuff was still temperamental. So phoned up the office, and a colleague brought me some more IGBTs and some PC boards, firing cards and control cards. I cleaned the thing up, I replaced all the parts, and then got it commissioned the way it should have gone. Got it running and so on, and the job got completed. But it's a day I'll never forget, having that thing go kapooey on me, and I just left. Okay, cheers, I'm out of here. And then having to go back and switch it off because it's still half working. Because these things, after an event like this, they didn't have sophisticated detection. Unless it saw some kind of one of the few errors that are built into it, it just keeps going. Even though 2 of the 6 IGBTs are no longer there. It's sprayed all over the place. Big things, I mean, 110 kilowatt, those IGBTs are this size. They're half bridges, so you got 3 of them, and one of them let go. What happened is, I think one of the IGBTs had a problem with the gate connection, so it turned on, and when it was supposed to turn off, it stayed on, and the other one turned on as well, and shoot through occurred. So you're basically shorting out the DC bus at that point, and of course huge current flows through the IGBT, and it's over. Big white light, and the magic smoke is out. That was a common problem with the early variable speed drives. They tended to do that. Working on them certainly builds character. Those were good days. And these days, stuff's a quarter of the size as well. Yeah, the stuff's come a long way, and these days we put a piece of metal on the end of a plastic rod, and we go and we short it out, and there's a shower of sparks, and it just gives an error. Nothing happens. Protection's got really good. And this is without any inductance on the output. You're creating a dead short without any inductance between the VSD and the motor terminals, where you creating a short, and the thing simply switches off. They become very good. So that was my day at the cement factory with the induced draft fan, trying to get it going, and it basically took me the whole day to get it going, because I had a few surprises along the way. Yeah, good days, good days. We had a DC drive in that kiln as well, which was actually doing the rotation of the kiln. A big thing, 800 amps. Those kilns are long metal tubes supported on rollers. They slowly turn. They're lined with refractory. They put the lime and the fuel in the one end, the top end, and then it slowly works its way down, and it fires the lime, and they use coal as fuel. And then what comes out the other end goes through coolers, and then gets discharged towards the mills, where the clinkers is basically these hard balls of cement that come out the other end, get ground into what becomes cement powder. They go into ball mills, big ball mills. That's how cement is made. Take lime, burn it, and grind it. And it's a mess. There's stuff's everywhere. Cement plants are interesting to go to. Very interesting. Been to a few of them in my time. These types of kilns are used for various processes where a product has to be fired or roasted or something like that. The vanadium plants use them as well. These days they started using AC motors to rotate those kilns. They're generally more than one motor rotating it. So you got a girth gear around the kiln. Then you got two pinions coming off gearboxes, coming off motors, and they run together and rotate the kiln. And there I've had some fun as well. We changed from one. We didn't upgrade or retrofit the AC drive that we'd used. Well, they originally were DC, made them AC, then went to the newer model of AC drive. And on the newer model of AC drive, when it's kind of just what was in the original one download to the new one, but there's a high-speed data link in between the two AC drives for the torque demand for the load sharing. It's called Heatsink, and on the old SPs it just worked. On the newer drive, you've got to set up something called inter-option synchronization. If you don't do that, the Heatsink works, but occasionally it stops. What then happens is your torque signal stops going to your slave. You got a master and a slave. So whatever amps are drawn by the master, it sends to the slave, and they share the torque. So occasionally this thing would just stop, and it took me a while to remember what it was that was causing that, because originally I had at work been working with the Heatsink on the newer product, and it was flaky. It would occasionally just stop sending data. There's 3 words that it was sending. Well, it had space for 3 words. I was just using one. It was torque demand. And I said to the software guy, well, what's this problem? And he said, oh no, that's that inter-option synchronization bit that has to be set. I said, oh, that's nice. There's of course nobody talking about it, is there? You learn these things the hard way, and it builds character, because when that kiln stops, they have to start up a diesel engine, engage that on the girth gear, and basically bar this thing to keep it spinning, because otherwise the kiln droops. You got to keep it round. So their process stops, and they got to keep running this thing so that it doesn't become banana shaped, and you become very unpopular in the process. Especially when this happens for a few days, you get really unpopular with people, and it creates an intermittent problem, an apparent intermittent problem, because this happens every few hours. The city center decides, okay, now's the time I'm going to stop, and then it magically starts working again, or just citing the power in the system makes it work again. And then it took me a while to remember, because you don't work with the stuff very often. You forget. Yeah, that bit, that's what was wrong. And by that time, my colleague, the software guy, went and changed the torque reference to go over a different network using CTNet, had forgotten about this problem with the Heatsink, where you got to set that bit. And afterwards I said to everybody, oh, I messed up. I forgot about that. That's what's been causing all this drama. You have to do that. You got to own up to your mistakes, whether they were intentional or unintentional. You got to tell people what happened. But yeah, there's a lot of unhappiness about that. That's part of this job, you know. Things go wrong. You upset people sometimes. We try our best to not do it intentionally, and largely we don't. Try and avoid mistakes. They do happen, and then you got to tell everybody what's wrong, and you fix it, and you move on. And that's the best course of action. You got to be honest about what's happened. If you lie or hide things, boy, are you in trouble when you get found out. Never do it. Never do it. It's tempting to do it because it's an easy escape in the moment, but no, just fix it. Get on with it. And yeah, that's my story about cement kilns. And originally those induced draft fans were DC. At my first job, I went out to the northwestern part of the country where there's a lot of lime, and they got a lot of these cement factories out there. And I did a retrofit there, taking out an old Thorn DC drive. And those were in those days all still analog. I installed one of our newer analog drives, commissioned it, stayed the night in their guest house, then the next day drove home. That job went well. I enjoyed that one. It went really well. I mean, there's days when it goes well and you're having fun at work, and mostly it's like that. That's why we're doing this, why we carry on doing it, and that's why we spend all this time at work. It's because mostly we're having fun and we're doing interesting stuff. So I mustn't dwell too much on those days when it's gone wrong. It's an event and it passes, and then you go back to having fun. It's like that. Yeah. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We've been talking for a while. Not sure how long. I'm sure it's going on about 20 minutes. So that'll do. That's my story about causing a AC drive to go kapooey on its first day out. Yeah. I'll think of more stories. There are more. Try and remember them. There definitely are after all these years. So ladies and gentlemen, have an awesome day further. Take care. And I'll be seeing you next time for more interesting stuff or stories. Cheers.